Though it may not be as tough as an out as chewing gum in Singapore or wearing a Winnie the Pooh shirt in Poland, getting Brittney Griner home is going to be a tough out for Joe Biden in the United States of America. Why? Follow me into the void of intelligence. Despite a guilty plea from WNBA and international women's basketball star Brittney Griner, it may be a while before she comes home. The reason why with international laws and the reasons why we have international laws is twofold. One is that we make sure that whenever anyone goes from one country to another, that the main focus is to be an ambassador for the country that they're traveling from. Also, when you're in someone else's home, you should try and abide by someone else's rules. And we can't take for granted that the laws that we have in our home country also are the same in other countries across the world. It's like we talked about in the intro. There are very, very obscure rules in international countries that we may not have here or we may scoff at, but they're there for their reasons, and we must make sure that when we're a guest in someone else's country that we abide by those rules, because we aren't afforded the same privileges as a domestic citizen. So even whenever we're sitting there in the courtroom, or even the negotiation process that we would do here in America might not totally apply in another country, where a plea deal here may make sense because you may get less time, possibly no time, and some type of probation. It might not work in other countries such as Russia, where you're still going to continue to have a trial even though you enter your guilty plea. Currently, what's going on with the WNBA case was that a few months back, when arriving to Russia for a stint of basketball, Ms. Griner was caught with a vape pen with CBD oil, which in the United States we're getting to the point where across the United States it's starting to become legal in most places. Before, it used to be just medical purposes. Now you can pretty much get CBD oil in different places for different reasons, and the laws aren't as strenuous due to we've got democratic control in government, but still. It's really, even if you were caught with something like CBD oil or something in the vape pen, it would be something more like of a slap on the wrist. But now when we go into other countries, countries like Russia, for instance, where they're very, very strict when it comes to drug paraphernalia and things of that sort. So in instances like that, being a foreigner, coming in from another country, landing in this new territory, and being caught with something like this doesn't spell too well for a person coming in, because it can be seen by the government or the general public as some type of trafficking, which may or may not be the case. But despite the fact what happened, she was arrested, and now she faces up to 10 years in Russian prison. So with that being said, now the world is up in arms in support for Ms. Griner. But I do feel, in my humble opinion, is that the truth is going to lie somewhere in between. Because yes, we do support our fellow Americans, but we do have to realize when we go into another country, we have to make sure that we abide by those rules and be good ambassadors for the United States of America. And the reason why is because in instances like this, with the unbalance that we've got going on in the world, we've got the issues that are happening in Ukraine, where the United States and Russia are on different sides of these things. At the moment, it's not really the best of times to be in negotiations with said countries whenever there are bigger things. Let me take that back. Not bigger things, especially if you're Ms. Griner. There are things going on in this world that also have an impact in the relationship between Russia and the United States. And that's going back far beyond the last election cycle, where there was accusations of Russia being in the political process. the United States presidential political process, to be more specific. So when something like this comes up, it's going to be kind of hard to negotiate a swap, because even in this instance where in the United States you have someone like Ms. Griner, that this would be typically, going back a few years, a misdemeanor of some sorts. In order to get her back from Russia, Russia would definitely like to have someone in return, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to want somebody that's going to be in that sort of position. They're probably going to get the most bang for their buck, and I hate to compare it to an NBA trade, but it would be pretty much somebody trying to get Kevin Garnett away from the New Jersey Nets for a lower tiered player, or a rookie for that matter. So the problem is, that what we're going to have to watch is with negotiations, how they're going, the international relationship between Russia, United States, Ukraine, and whatnot. Because at the moment, things are pretty strained. And even as far as we talked about in the news a couple days ago, equal value would have been the merchant of death, according to the United States, that Russia would want in return for Brittney Griner. Now, we're not putting a value on lives here, but if we're thinking about getting someone that's there locked in the prison overseas over a vape pen, and someone that is someone that was arrested for something much major, or war type level of crime overseas, that are in our possession. Now we think of it from a presidential standpoint. How is it going to look politically for us trading? And I hate to keep devaluing someone that's a human being, but someone of that level, which is a WNBA star or a celebrity for that mark, getting traded in return for this war criminal. So let's put that into perspective whenever we start judging what should the government do in regards to the situation, because I do believe talks will be going on, and it's going to be going on for a while, because I believe the last person that the United States got back from Russia went by the name of, I want to say, Trevor Reed, and negotiations took months to get him away. And once again, we're talking about the level of a military prisoner, not a civilian, not even a level of a journalist that followed military happenings in said country. So we're talking about somebody that made a mistake, not knowing the rules, going into a foreign country, getting arrested, and being charged on the level of someone that has done much more. So, like we say, whenever you're visiting, whenever you're company, be on your best behavior, because you just never know how hard it is whenever you do go somewhere and something like this happens, because it's going to be way more than getting a bail's bondsman to get back out in the street and get back home. There's going to be a long, drawn out, arduous process of negotiation on the level of federal government to even get to the point where we have this cinema movie-esque trade swap on the tarmac of some neutral landing strip, where Ms. Griner's going to be on one side, and then probably somebody much more exponentially dangerous being sent back to Russia. So let's also think about this. The support is going to always be there, but let's make sure that our support is tapered, because in the situation we have where everyone and their opinions are going to get to the point where it outweighs what's really going on. When people say, well, LeBron James, if it was LeBron James, we would be doing something better. I highly doubt, and that's just me personally, someone on the level of LeBron James would even be put into that situation where I'm going overseas. The antennas are going to go up that from the beginning, all eyes are on me. I may be an international superstar, so the bar is going to be held much higher. So I would even think that the scrutinization would be so much more for someone like a LeBron James or a celebrity of that magnitude, or a political pundit, or someone with a whole bunch of weight going overseas. I really would believe the eyes would be on them a little bit more in regards to, I better make sure I know what I'm doing the time that I cross international waters into a foreign company, because one, I am an ambassador, and two, the stakes are going to be that much more crucial if something happens overseas. You know, this isn't even a thing where we're going to have to get to the embassy to take care of this stuff. You have been arrested, you have been charged, and now you have to face trial before any of this goes on. And even a plea deal, which we would even use in America, is not going to speed up the process of their judicial system. So we're just going to have to make sure the support is here, the support continues to be here, because I do believe this is going to be a long process, months, I do believe. And hopefully we see Ms. Griner back sooner than later, but I'm thinking, in my opinion, maybe it might be at least a year before we're talking about really truly, and this is just you know, not to say a pessimistic point of view, but this is just more of a realistic approach between the different channels and the red tape, being able to get to the point where we have an even or equal type trade to get Ms. Griner home. And hopefully she doesn't have to spend a long period of time in a Russian prison over a vape pen. So with that being said, what are your thoughts? You know, welcome to the Void of Intelligence. I'm going to read the comments and reply to them as much as possible. And hopefully I get some people in here that we can talk about this on a back and forth situation, so that way you don't have to just hear my voice on the opinion, because mine is just one. And not to say that mine is better than anyone else's, but I do believe other people do bring their points to it. Good, bad, and different. Everyone's opinion is welcome into the Void of Intelligence. So with that being said, stay on the lookout for the next video. All support goes to Ms. Brittney Griner. I hope that the U.S. government is doing everything in their power to help this, to speed this process up and get her home safe. And hopefully we get into a situation where any one of us that goes overseas, no matter the country, no matter how obscure the law is, that we make sure that when we go out there, we're prepared to be the best ambassador for the United States as possible. So that way we don't have to worry about bringing people home under these circumstances in the midst of international disagreement that's going on in the world right now. So with that being said, thank you for joining me, and catch you in the next video. Peace.